But all right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. I just had to consent once again to being recorded on my own show through Zoom. Good job, Zoom. I guess, probably the state laws in Indiana are you are not allowed to record a conversation between two people without there being consent. So that's why they're doing that here.
Yeah.
They might not do it in other states, Brett. I don't know. But before we start the show, I just want to make a personal apology to Adam Duritz. Do you know who Adam Duritz is?
I might, but I don't recognize the name.
He's the lead singer of Counting Crows.
Yes, I do know him then.
And during my college years, I hated that guy. I despise his music. I despise his band.
Aww.
I despise his popularity. I said so many nasty things to my friends in college who listened to the Counting Crows. But he was just on, you remember the songs he did, like Mr. Jones.
Yes, yeah, I know many at Counting Crow.
And then he did that cover, Paved Paradise to Put Up a Parking Lot. I think that's a Joni Mitchell song. I just want to apologize to him because he was on the Joe Rogan show. I don't know if you're allowed to even admit that you listen to the Joe Rogan show anymore.
Sure, I love Joe Rogan show.
I think Joe Rogan's great. I love his I love the weird cast of characters he has on that show.
We'll have anybody on there. Anybody.
Yeah, pretty much it's been it's just fun to listen to and watch. And so he was on Joe Rogan show today. He was the fucking nicest dude in the world. The most humble, down to earth, great sense of humor. And I thought, oh man, I was really mean to this guy back in the day. Not personally. I never walked up to him and said he sucked. But, I guess I should apologize to all my friends. You
would have asked him to sign your album, man. Hey, would you mind signing this for me?
I didn't have to buy his album because all my roommates in college owned the goddamn thing and played it endlessly. And I hated it. I was busy listening to Sonic Youth and Pavement and Sebado and all these other weird bands. I thought he was a sellout. Anyhow.
Sebado?
Sebado, not Ciabato. Close. Speaking of soccer, we should get to the Swiss roster. Here it is. It is.
I was wondering how we were going to bring it up. I'm like, is the Counting Crow lead singer, is he Swiss nationality? Is how it's going to all play together? No, I was just a dick to him in college.
No, I think he's part of the tribe. He's not part, yeah. So, I don't think that, no, he's not Swiss at all. But we do have a Swiss lineup here, and it's not surprising. We got Ethan Horvath.
Some surprising.
Yeah, we didn't want him on any of these teams because he didn't deserve it. And then we had those people come at us and like, he's a good goalkeeper. And we're like, well, how would you know? He
was a good goalkeeper.
He
might still be a goalkeeper. We don't know. We don't have enough sample size.
Yeah, it's a small sample size. And then he's like, well, then why are you picking Stefan?
Yeah.
Well, because Stefan actually plays, he's played more games this season than Horvath has in 2.5 seasons. That's why. We have a bigger sample size.
Or a significantly better team, too. In a better league.
And a better league and a better team. So, listen, all of us want even Horvath, God damn it, to turn out great. But he needs to get the hell out of Bruges and do it ASAP and find another team. The other guy we brought was Shaturo Odunze. I think I may have brought him up on the last show and said, he's another option kind of out.
He was brought in for the last European roster as well. He seems to be like the third man for that European roster whenever we have a game there.
Yeah, he's an 18-year-old kid that's playing the U18s at Leicester, but what's impressive is he's also played for their U23s and U21s, and he's just a kid. So he's a lanky guy. It's one of those fingers crossed things with goalies, It takes them so long to really, first of all, find a starting position because goalies really just don't tend to find starting spots on big teams until their mid-20s to late 20s, sometimes even. and their careers are more between the ages of 25 and 35 than they are from 20 to 30. So you got to think of goalies in a whole different way. And then we've got David Ochoa again, and again he's along for the ride to learn. I imagine even Horvath is going to start.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and then we got the regulars. Nothing surprising here. We got Brooks, Cannon, Serginho Dest, Mark McKenzie, Matt Miazga, Tim Ream, and Tim Ream and McKenzie are there essentially because, and we talked about in another show, because Long is injured, and who else was injured? God damn it,
Richards.
Chris Richards was injured. So these are the obvious fill-ins for them. Brian Reynolds is on this team, didn't make the Nations League, but he's on this roster, which is nice to see. Give him some playing time. Anthony Robinson, we expected. He's injured currently. Hopefully he's healthy by this game.
Yeah,
And
how many injured players do we have?
Yeah, we've got some guys with some niggling kind of injuries, and so hopefully that plays itself out. The guy didn't mention that surprisingly made this roster, but maybe it shouldn't be a surprise, and maybe it is the smartest goddamn thing that Berhalter has done recently is calling Justin Che in from Bayern Munich 2 to play, to be a part of this roster, because Justin Che had just recently been joking, I am hoping, wink, wink, that he wants the German national team to keep an eye on him. And here is Berhalter, and I'm sure Ernie Stewart and Brian McBride all got involved in this and said, well, that kid's just too damn good. We got to call him now.
Yeah, why not? Well, yeah, I watched some of his highlights, but why not give him a call in now? Just say, hey, we're keeping an eye on you. We like to get you involved in our team and see what happens. Maybe he'll get some playing time.
He's a 17-year-old kid who went to Bayern Munich, barely played for the youth teams, the U17s, the U19s, did some practices, and they immediately said, holy shit, this kid is so good. Let's just send him straight to Bayern too.
He's a center back with confidence with the ball at his feet.
And a right back. He's been playing
insane.
right back for them too.
Yeah. I mean, the kid has a very high ceiling, and it's promising to see. And like we said, this is the greatest thing that Berhalter could do in this situation is call him up and say, hey, we want to see you in our system. Come play with us. You may get some minutes, you may not. Go back, continue working with Bayern, but we'll keep an eye on you. Just let them know that you're interested.
I bet you $1 million that Berhalter gives him like 5 minutes at right back for
in all honesty, I would put him in longer than that. Why not? Just throw him in there for like the last 30 minutes. Give him time.
I doubt he's going to get 30.
I say let's do it. It's a friendly. Give him a chance.
Well, you've got DeAndre Yedlin and Reggie Cannon at right back, so somebody's going to have to get their time is going to have to get axed for Justin Che to come in as a right back. And at center back, I don't see it happening yet.
Well, we got to remember that both Yedlin and God, what the hell?
Cannon,
thank God. I'm losing myself in this list. I'm looking around like, oh, geez, so many words.
Dude,
so Cannon and Yedlin are both included in the Nations League roster. So there's potentially 3 to 4 games that they can get minutes as well. So I could see one of them starting at right back and then Che coming in either as a center back option filler or a right back option to get minutes. So I'm just saying, why not just give him 20, 30 minutes?
Either way, he might get that later on, in the friendly season. We'll see.
Sure.
But I expect him to get some time.
Sure, I agree.
And somebody's going to have to give up their time, either Yedlin or Canada right back, because I don't think he's going to put him at center back. I really don't. Mm-hmm. He's even though, for a 17-year-old kid, he is still 5'11". He's not short, but he is he's very quick of foot, but he is physically still a 17-year-old. So keep that in mind. All right, let's move to the midfielders. Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams,
what?
maybe
I think that spot right there is the one that's questionable because I mean, Berhalter is even stating, like, oh, it's an okay to waste a spot in the Nations League roster for Adams because we want him there. But in this friendly in Europe, it just seems weird that even if he was healthy, that they would fly him back to Europe, play a game just so he can fly back to the States. It seems like an excessive amount of stuff for a guy that's rehabbing that could spend the extra 3 days rehabbing in the States. Why not put in somebody like a De La Torre in there,
Yeah, I really feel, again, like the Nations League roster, De La Torre got the shaft, man. He really did. And he might have gotten the shaft in lieu of adding Julian Green, who absolutely deserves to be on this roster.
Yep.
Just got Greuther Fürth to the Bundesliga. Mm-hmm. They were officially promoted this weekend. And he's got to be getting exciting because all the reports I've ever read said that Julian Green had offers from other Bundesliga teams to come up and play. I think it was from 2 of the 3 promoted teams last season said, hey, we'd like to sign you. And he said, no, I'm sticking with Greuther. I'm going to play out my contract because I think we can make it. I think we can.
What a change of mentality a couple of years have had on him.
No kidding. I mean,
that's a great thing that he did that. And look, it worked out for him perfectly because now he's entering Bundesliga probably as a key starter. But I mean, if he would have just jumped at the highest bidder there, and who knows, he would have just sat bench, maybe found his way back to Bundesliga 2. This was, like I said, that was a very mature approach to that.
Yeah, and that's the one time that loyalty really makes a difference because Julian Green started out in the Greuther for youth system before going to Bayern Munich, and then he went back after some loans that didn't work out from Bayern Munich to other teams, and he stuck it out there. He's not a young kid anymore, but he's not that old either. 25, 26, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's great that Greg did this, and I know it's fabulous. So we still have Legit, and of all the MLS guys, Legit's the guy I definitely can handle because when he's put in there, he does his job.
Still gets crapped on, man.
I know he does, but Weston McKennie, they're wrong. Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, we expected that. And Jackson Ewell, we expected that. Mm-hmm. So not a big surprise there on any of those. And then the forwards, Brendan Aronson, makes sense he's listed as a forward because that's what he is.
Ew.
Daryl DK, because he wasn't called up to Nations League, gets his shot here. What if Daryl DK scores like 3 goals? I mean, then you're like, shit, I brought Sargent and Siabatu. Maybe I should have brought in DK instead of one of the other 2. We'll see what happens there. Matthew Hoppe, so happy for him getting on this roster, and I hope he gets a shot alongside or at least in relief of Daryl DK. And Gio Reyna joins the wingers. Josh Sargent, he'll probably be the likely starter, you would think. But,
depends.
Who knows? Depends on what Greg's thinking.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe you do, Brett, but I don't.
Please.
All right, and then Timothy Weah. So nothing too shocking there. So
you brought right there at the end. You brought in the elephant in the room. The elephant. What is it? Who's Berhalter going to play?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to play a lot of the bench players and some of the players that are only on this roster, so that way we're fresh when playing Honduras? Or do you think he's going to play more or less a starting lineup and then, sub out early so that they're maybe a little sharper when we play Honduras? I don't know. This is the big question. Who knows what Berhalter is going to run out?
Yeah, it is really a good question.
Or will it be a mesh between the two?
It could be. Mm-hmm. So let's just try. Ethan Horvath is your starter, right?
On both, yes.
John Brooks, I think, is your starter. I think, then it's between Mark McKenzie, Matt Miazga, and Tim Ream. And I think the answer for this first game, at least, I think is Matt Miazga. But that's too slow a foot, guys.
So I could see a Brooks starting because you kind of want to have that anchor in the back line, especially if you're going to go with a mesh. A mixture of starters and bench and maybe outliers. Who knows? But maybe this would be more of a McKenzie start against the Swiss, and then a Miazga starts against Honduras. I don't know. This is where it could be questionable.
McKenzie's not exactly a fleet of foot either. So all the options here for center back.
What else are you going to throw in there?
Ream
is the only other option.
I know, but Long. That's a tough thing here because if it was Long was still healthy, he'd be on this roster, and he's not slow and he can run. But all these guys, Tim Ream, Mark McKenzie, and Che can run. Maybe start Che. That would be really interesting.
We're sitting here getting chastised for saying, "Hey, let's give him 30 minutes," and you're bringing it up now. Maybe he can start.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, we need one center back to be a fleet of foot. So maybe you start Brooks and Che. Wouldn't that be badass if it happened?
If it happened.
I think it'd be great, but it's going to be Miazga and Brooks.
It's going to be Miazga or McKenzie, either one.
Or McKenzie, yeah. And then we move to the left back, right back. I think we're going to see Reggie Cannon on the right and Dest on the left. Okay. It could be Anthony Robinson and Dest, though. So I can't decide because Anthony Robinson is currently injured, but if he's healthy, maybe he does start.
Quite frankly, I wouldn't. If injury is a question, for Robinson, I would not play him in a meaningless friendly at this point. Wait for the meaningful game, come Honduras, and then either Costa Rica or Mexico for the finals. Bring him in there. But against the Swiss, I would hate to bring him out there and then find out he agitates at something when another 3 days may be the key as far as becoming fully healthy, I'm
guessing they've already talked to him and they said, yeah, he's pretty much ready to go. We kept him out of the last 2 games. Fulham did because, it was a slight injury and we're going to sell him. We don't want him to get any further injured. Sure. So I'm guessing he's ready to go, but I think you don't just take him from not playing for 3 weeks and start him. I think that's why I think it's going to be Dest on the left and Cannon on the right. Or if you want to get real spicy with it, you could do Yedlin or Reynolds on the right as well. He did bring 3 right backs, so
here's something to consider. Reynolds. Good.
I was going to say, I think Dest and Robinson are your LBs. I think that the other 3 are your RBs. Well, otherwise, why are you bringing so many RBs, including Justin Che? That would make 4 people who can play right back. Sure. That's a lot of right backs. You got Reggie Cannon, Justin Che, Brian Reynolds, and DeAndre Yedlin. They're all super fixed RBs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. So
and it's I guess the way we need to look at this moving forward as quickly as we can and all, but if we start a lineup that would be our key starters, say Dest and Robinson, let's just throw that out there. We'd be looking at a possibility of Dest and Robinson playing all 3 games, between, it's again, assuming we make the finals. And I don't know if Berhalter is going to want to look at this game as being the opportunity to give one or both a rest, not even a rest, but a break before the important games, if you will.
You know what, Brett? We shouldn't even be doing this.
This is the impossible part of it, because it could be anything.
Yeah. This is like rolling dice at this point because if Greg has a totally different concept in mind, like I'm going to really mix this up, and I don't, I'm going to try all kinds of weird shit in these friendlies, but I'm going to give the guys that are going to the Nations League some time, but not a lot of time, or I'm giving them the start, but I'm not letting them finish.
We see a 3-4-3 or a 4-3-3. It could be anything.
Yeah.
He could literally take the Swiss game as anything. Do we go into addressing that we want to win moving forward, assuming that this is sort of like a World Cup game, which is what he talks about? that World Cup mentality. Like you play a European game and then you come back and you do 3 World Cup qualifier games. You gotta be fresh and you gotta be ready for that. There's gonna be a heavy rotation between the games.
There's gotta be, and so this is like shooting in the dark. It's like shooting up like a 500-foot man's asshole, into the dark, trying to hit like a firefly. It's not easy, even though the firefly's lit. We have some clue as what's going to happen.
All right,
we
Scotty,
really
calm down
don't.
on that.
What?
I said, all right, Scotty, calm down. From the new Trek movies, if anybody's following with that.
I have not. Do they go at someone's anus in that?
No. You just did this whole hypothetical. Like it's like doing this while doing that and doing this, and hoping you get into this. Simon Pegg. That's like Simon Pegg's thing in the new Trek movies. Is that that's his like go-to. Like it's like that whole ordeal. Like
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched any of those.
Gotcha.
Maybe I should, in my current state of mind. All right, so forwards, Brendan Aronson. I mean, listen, you're going to probably, you know what? This is all bullshit. We're just saying this because Daryl DK is probably going to get some playing time because he's not on the Nations League club. So you want to see him, you want to see Hoppy. But Hoppy can play out wide too. So yeah, it's just a mess. I don't know.
I would in this game again. I would go with since we're up top. I would all of a sudden go with Weah and Aronson and throw DK on top, and then you can bring Hoppy in the second half sometime. Yeah, I mean Aronson and Weah are going to be bench players behind Pulisic and Reyna when it comes to Nations League. So this seems like an obvious go-to, and quite frankly, I'm kind of happy with that top 3. That's not a bad top 3 to have to fall back on.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with it. Getting back to Star Trek, this is you would have to mind meld with Greg to really figure out what his plan is here.
Where's Spock when you need him,
I mean, listen, exactly. I mean, he could come out with his 3 midfielders, Julian Green, Leggett, and Yule. Or Musa. I mean, it could be anybody.
It's funny because I actually had that 3, except for I have Acosta instead of Yule because I feel like that's just where Berhalter's going. But I do have the Green Leggett there.
I mean, we could see some weird stuff here just because we don't know what his intentions are. He might give some of the guys that are going to be busting their ass in Nations League more of a rest and have them come in late. Or he might want to see what they can do for 60 minutes and then replace everybody. I think in these, is it 5 limit still for these friendlies? I thought in a lot of the friendly agreements, they're like, yeah, you can place the whole fucking team. It's
been 6 forever.
Yeah.
So
that's still more than half the team. So
yeah.
All right. I think we're done here unless you got any further comments.
Let's talk about more hypotheticals.
More hypotheticals? No. I think we're done with hypotheticals, Brett. All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, good night.